Welcome to the research methodology, OS2. My name is S. Dube and I'm going to be your presenter for this module. This module basically gives you the opportunity, or rather an introductory opportunity, to look into research methods as a student. What I'm going to do is that I'll give you an overview of research, what it is that we mean by research as a foundational development for your, in preparation for your fourth year when you finally do a research dissertation as a required of you as an honors student. One thing that I also want to state is that research methods basically will improve the quality of your work and presentation of your work. What do I mean by this? You are going to be able to search more information from the library, internet sources, and also you're going to be able to present your work in a very academic way, in such a way that when people look at your work or your markers look at your work, they will see that you have indeed improved. So let's get started. The first thing that all of us need to know is, what do we mean by research? What exactly is research and how do we go about research? So first of all, research is a systematic inquiry whose objective is to provide information to solve real-world problems. So basically, research is about solving problems, rather finding answers that can help us to solve real-world problems. In particular, if you look at the study or the course that you're undertaking, HIV and AIDS management, there are so many problems that are involved in that field, that are involved with HIV and AIDS. So by learning how to do research, you develop the ability to actually find information that is going to help you solve many challenges that are coming up with HIV. Research also helps us to answer the so what questions. When we talk about research, what is research all about? It's about an open system of thought. So research allows you to have an open mind. Because you must remember that when we talk about research, we are talking about a scientific way of learning things, a scientific way of doing things. And I'm sure you are aware by now that we also learn things two ways. There's a non-scientific way of looking at things, and also there's a scientific way of looking at things. And what research does is that it opens your way of thinking. Research also is about critical reflection, deep thinking. Research is about a structured process of inquiry. So this is very interesting when we talk about a structured process of inquiry, because this is science, it's a scientific process. And when you embark on research, you need to follow certain processes and procedures in order for you to get to the answers that you are looking for. Research also is about objectivity. If you look at most of our non-scientific way of learning things, they are very subjective. But when we embark on research, we look a lot at objectivity. And also, overall, research is a scientific method of answering research questions. So, importantly, research is about ideas, questions, answers, more broadly speaking, knowledge. We need knowledge. I'm sure you are aware by now that there is a concept the government is running called the knowledge economy. So through research, we are actually developing management cadres or graduates who are able to generate knowledge that is able to help us solve many problems. But also the question is, how do I use the relevant knowledge to help inform my proposed study? Okay, right from the onset. Maybe let's also look at research or ideas. Where do these research ideas, how do you come up? How do you decide at the end of the day, now I want to do a research? Where does it come from? Current events, what is happening? There are a lot of things that are happening in terms of general events taking place. There are also a lot of things happening in terms of HIV. We have seen the introduction of PrEP. We have seen an increase in the number of young people being infected by HIV. So this is where we start to generate our ideas. We also get research ideas from awareness or alternative viewpoints. There are always ideas that are coming about HIV. There's a lot of things happening. So out of that, we develop this inquisitive mind to say, let me go ahead and do something. Sometimes it can come from the scientific literature of your field. There's a lot of HIV journals, which is something that will encourage you as HIV management students to do. Read as much HIV journals as possible, and you'll be able to get new thinking, new directions, new discoveries, new interventions across the continuum of prevention, treatment, care, and support. And also we can look at current events. What exactly is, remember there are current issues, now initially we spoke about current events, now we're talking about current issues. What exactly is happening now? So things that are happening may require you to embark on a research or to generate which direction you should go about doing your research. And we can also get our research ideas from databases such as the NSA, that is the Namibia Statistical Agency. They produce a lot of reports. African studies, what is happening in Africa, Namibian studies, and also others. If you look at others, for example, every fourth-year student, it is a requirement, or an honor student, it is a requirement that they should do a research dissertation. So right at the end, right at the end after the recommendations in chapter 6, students are asked to present at least 3 areas which they feel other researchers will study on. So by looking at what other people have done, you can also have an idea what topic you would want to research on. And also table of contents of recent issues of relevant disciplinary scientific journals can also be used. It is very important. You may say, okay, fine, I'm still in my second year. This is very far away, 4 years from 2 years from now, it's very far. But it's very important to start thinking early about your research. Why am I saying so is because we don't have time. Because during your 4th year, you realize that all you have perhaps is your first term, whereby your first semester, where you are supposed to submit a proposal. And thereafter, once your proposal has been approved, you have to go down and do a research mini dissertation. So time is very limited. So it is very critical, very important that you start thinking about your research as early as possible. And also it is worth giving yourself a good deal of time, because remember, I always say this, that research is your first qualification, first degree that you should be very proud of, because it enables you to get into the league of your own, whereby you start to realize that I have produced something, I have done something. So this is very important, because now you need to look at how do I get started here? Thinking about your topic, thinking about putting your proposal block by block, so that when you get to your 4th year, you are almost done. And also the question is, how do I choose my topic? You can look, for example, proceed from a problem. You can look at a problem, and then from there, out of the problem, you choose a topic. A need exists for research. Most of the time you realize there's a lot that is coming up, your own observations, because remember, we live among communities, we live within a society. People always have questions, and this is where perhaps your research topic may come from. relevant to own career prospects. Say, for example, if you want to embark on a career, maybe you want to go into wellness, you want to go into counseling, you may already start to think about, okay, some of the issues around counseling, what are the issues that you'd want to research on. Interesting, your topic must be interesting and stimulating. It must not be a burden. You need to be very original. You need to be yourself. Originality is very important. The time frame is realistic. Make sure that you give yourself a good deal of time. And also, you must look at a topic with your abilities and resources. Can you do this topic within a stipulated amount of time? And do you have resources to help you conduct that? That's why we talk about mostly what we refer to as delimitation, meaning what is the scope, where is your research going to take place? You cannot say I want to do a study in Windhoek when you are staying, for example, in Oshana region, because it will require you to come all the way to Windhoek to come and do your study. You cannot say that I want to do a study in the Zambezi region when you know that you are fully employed, you don't have enough knowledge about the Zambezi region, and besides, when you want to collect data, you have to travel all the way to go and collect data. And also, it must be practicable and feasible. Your topic must be very practical. It must be doable. But remember, think small, right? So it means you have to start with these small things and then develop it as you go over time. How does a bad topic look like? I think this illustration says it all. The topic is all over the show. It's not clear. Remember what we spoke about earlier. It must be practical. It must be practical. It must be feasible. You must be able to do something you are capable of doing, and don't stretch yourself too much, because you can do research for as long as you live. After undergraduate, you can do your masters, develop your research idea into a masters, develop it into a PhD, and perhaps your career prospects, you want to become a researcher. You can take all these things as they come along. Your topic is bad if it is too wide in scope, can be traced to a single source. Remember, what is very important in research is literature. You must be able to, when you do a research, you must be able to think about literature. What are the studies that has been done by other people? Because if your topic is limited in literature, you may struggle along. And also, if your topic is too technical, you remember you are doing HIV/AIDS management. You may not want to really go deep into all those deeper areas, which require, say, medical expertise and stuff like that. So you may not really want to put what people normally say a cart before the horses. And also, if it is a trivial topic, it's just all over, it's not focused and stuff like that. So key questions to ask yourself about research project are as follows. Can I do an entire research on any one or selection of the proposed research objectives? Does the scope of the research objective exceed my scope of research aim, vice versa? How satisfied am I with the degree of conceptual clarity in my topic, my idea, my title, objectives, and so forth? Some of these things, issues about title, objectives, and so forth, we'll talk about them a lot more. I'll share with you how the whole process of research goes around. Which research objectives may be answered in my preliminary literature review, and which in my proposed applied research, and are the single or multiple concepts, constructs, and title, and so forth. Right. In other words, what do I need to look out for to turn my proposed research into a more feasible and quality proposal? Because before we do a research project, we first of all need to come up with a proposal, and shortly I'll take you through the process of coming up with a proposal. I'll take you through the process of coming up with a proposal, and then I'll give you some last remarks about how we are going to work together. So in order for us to come up with a research project, we need to start with a research proposal, right? And generally, a proposal is a guide right? It is guiding you how you are going to do your research. Some people, they talk about a research proposal as a blueprint. You are actually working on a blueprint. What does a proposal do? It outlines the researcher's thinking about the research problem. Okay, it is economically written, highly structured and well organized. A research proposal has got a title page. So if you look at your research proposal, it must have a title page, right? It must have a table of contents, background and rationale, which means the reason, where are you coming from and why are you doing this study. It must have a preliminary literature review or theoretical framework. So once you have chosen a topic, this is what I always tell students. Once you have identified a topic, before you talk about anything else, you must first of all deeply engage yourself into literature review. Look at the work that has been done by other people. Statement of the research problem. This is where you try to amplify and say, why is this problem that you are bringing forward worthy investigating? Research aims and objectives, very important. You need to tell us about your research objectives, and usually we have about 4 objectives only. Rationale of the study, research design. Because research design, this is where you tell us how are you going to collect data in order for you to help you to answer the problem that you are going to be looking for. So here we talk about issues of methodology, the sampling, the data collection, data analysis. Ethical consideration, there's a lot of ethical issues that are involved in research. Because remember, when we deal with research, we are dealing with human beings. There are certain processes and procedures that we need to follow in order to make sure that we protect the institutions, we protect the people, we don't harm people, but we amplify good and reduce the bad. List of references, and our referencing style, basically we talk about APA referencing. Currently we are looking at the 6th version, so you must actually go on the internet and look for the 6th version of APA referencing. It will show you how to cite in text, meaning in the body of your paper, and also on your reference list. So what you cite in text must also be reflected in your reference list. So the APA reference guide will show you how to reference a book, an online journal, a newspaper article. It will take you through the entire process. So if you are to come up with a research, I think I spoke about this in the previous slide. We need a previous research. There must be a previous research on topic. Right? The research topic should be original, topical, replicable, practically feasible, and value-free topics. Okay. And as we go along, we'll be discussing in our tutorials how you can generate all these things so that you can try your short wings in the process. So you can see requirements of a research title, donor. You can see the whole confusion and stuff like that. All those things. Requirement, it should be precisely state the subject of research. So you must tell us what it is. Say, for example, an assessment of factors causing poor adherence of ARVs among people living with HIV at Kurenkuru town, for example. That's what it is that you want to research. You must tell us you are focusing on ARV adherence issues. Right. It is very important to capture the interest of the reader. Avoid vague phrases like studies of, investigation of. Even if your research is confined to one aspect or a problem, a title that makes a general statement about the issue to be studied is excellent. Stop and think. What is your comment on the title in relationship to your broad aim? Right? Title. Say, for example, like I said earlier, an assessment of factors causing poor adherence among people living with HIV, and then you can give us the context. Where do you want to do the study? the objective, the main aim of this study is to analyze the barriers to adherence. What are the barriers that are holding back people from adhering to medication? Because we know medication is very important. So what does the research proposal look like? It has an introduction of background or rationale, create reader interest in the topic, lay the broad foundation for the problem that leads to the study, place the study within the larger context of the scholarly literature, reach out to a specific audience. Literature review is very important. Like I said, elaborate on what is known and what is not known on the topic of interest, leads to the specific issue or issue that need further investigation. Because in your literature review, we don't just read for the sake of reading. So first of all, we are looking at what do we know about this topic. Say, for example, adherence. Right? What is it that we don't know? We know that adherence, has played a very big role in. See the introduction. We've seen the morbidity rates going down, the mortality rates going down. People are able to live longer, and so we have seen a lot of people. You must remember that when ARVs were introduced, there were very few people who took up. But currently we have about close to 150,000 people on ARV medication in this country. So there is a lot of benefits. But inside those benefits, why are people failing to adhere despite all these good things? So those are the gaps that we are looking for. Right. So theoretical framework will inform the statement of the problem, the rationale of the study, questions and hypotheses, selection of instruments, and choices of methods. Statement of the research problems. This is very important. It provides general context of the problem area, highlights key theories, concepts, and ideas, answers the following questions. What appear to be some of the underlying assumptions of this area? Why are the identified issues important? What needs to be solved? Okay. At the same time, it limits the scope by focusing on some variables and not others. The aims and objectives summarize what to be. So basically, when we talk about objectives, is what it is that you want to achieve. What do you want to achieve? Because remember, your objectives, what do you want to achieve in your inquiry, and objectives are connected to a statement of the problem. Should be closely related to the statement of the problem. Should be clear and concise, reflecting the main aims and outcomes. Should be practicable, attainable, and measurable. Distinguish between general and specific objectives. And then a sample here, title, implications of safety at public school, the role of parents. Main objective, for example, the main objective of the study to determine the implications of public schools with specific reference to lifestyle auditing high school. Rationale or significance. This is about the benefits. And try to answer the question, what are the potential implications for your research beyond the justification of specified in introduction section? Provide the glue that, so when we come to research design, so research design is very important, like I said in the previous slide. Research design basically is about the methodology. How are you going to collect? We have a problem, right? And remember, we are applying the scientific approach here to solving problems. So in science, we require data. So research design, which is basically your chapter 3, research methodology, is the glue that holds your research together. It's used to structure the research to show how all the major parts of the research project provides a framework for the collection and analysis of data. Choice of research design reflect decisions about priorities given the dimensions of the research process. And also types of research design, there are quite a number of them: cross-sectional, case study, cohort design. We also have longitudinal design, observational design, sequential design. We also, so when you talk about research design, there's also what we call quantitative and qualitative research. So here we go. It's about measurement, causality, generalization, replication, And also, of course, there are criticisms about research design. So basically, when we talk about research design, our main focus is quantitative and qualitative. Those are the main. So there are good things about quantitative. There are also good things about qualitative. There are also shortcomings of each one of these research design. So quantitative researchers fail to distinguish between people and social institutions, the world of nature. The measurement of process possesses an artificial and spurious sense of precision and accuracy. The reliance on instruments and procedures hinders the connection between research and everyday life. And the analysis of relationship between variables creates a static view of social life that is independent of people's lives. And obviously, when you come to qualitative research, this is what they are concerned about. Seeing through the eyes of the people being studied, description on the emphasis of the context, emphasis on the process, flexibility and limited structure, concepts and theory grounded in data, and critics of qualitative research. It is too subjective, people say, difficult to replicate, problems of generalization, lack of transparency. If you look at the contrast between the two, quantitative versus qualitative. Quantitative is about numbers, qualitative is about words. Quantitative is the point of view of researcher, point of view of participants. Researcher is distant, researcher is close. Theory testing, theory emergent. Static, and then it's a process. Structured, that is for quantitative. Qualitative is unstructured. Generalization is contextual understanding. Hard, liable data, rich, deep data. Macro, meaning you need a lot of data when it comes to quantitative, whereas with qualitative you don't need so much data. Behavior, and then the meaning, and artificial settings and natural settings. So when you do quantitative, you can do it in your office. You can just sit behind your computer, generate information, whereas with qualitative you go out there and talk to people in their respective natural settings. So research design, there are some examples here. You can look at some of these issues. We can talk about them as we go along. So the purpose of methodology is to try to get answers to two questions. How is the data going to be collected or generated? And how is the data going to be analyzed? Very important, because remember we are saying we want to find answers for problems. So science or scientific processes require data. So how are you going to collect the data? And how is the data going to be analyzed? Very important. In other words, it shows your reader how you obtain your results. But why do you have to explain how you obtain your results? First, give an overall summary of the methodological approach, quantitative, qualitative. Then the move to the specifics, the target population, sampling, data collection procedures and instruments, data analysis. Your target population, because remember we are doing research. We need our population. You must be able to say, whom am I going to interview? Who am I going to talk to? In order for me to get the information I require, the data I want to for my research. Data collection, you must outline a general plan for collecting the data. This may include survey administration procedures, interviews for observational procedures. It includes an explicit testament covering the field controls to be employed. If appropriate, discuss how you obtained the data. Outline the general plan for collection data. Okay, I think I spoke about this. Data analysis. So data analysis, basically you are saying, how do you make sense of your information? How do you clean your data? Because remember, there is data, there is information, there is knowledge. So data does not make sense. In order for data to make sense, we need to process it. We need to analyze it. So we must be able to say, how am I going to do it? Mostly if you look at quantitative data, we use softwares like SPSS. All right, must be able to tell us. If you are using a qualitative data analysis, you must be able to tell us what kind of data analysis you are going to be using. Ethical consideration, participation of human subjects in the project is justified. Risk to subjects are minimized by using appropriate procedures. So we follow procedures in research. You must get a letter of permission. Once your proposal has been approved, get a letter of permission from the university, and then get a letter of permission again from the area that you are going to be conducting your research. If you are in Oceania region, you can go to your constituents counselor, get a letter. If you are conducting a study at a hospital or a clinic, you must get a letter from the PS, from the superintendent, and so on. Risks are justified in view of anticipated benefits. Adequate provision is made for confidentiality, because remember, we're talking about people. We need to make sure that whatever data we collect remains strictly confidential. And also we need to get informed consent from the people that we are interviewing. We need also to generate a list of references. Very important. Like I said earlier, we need to consult our APA reference guide, which is the version 6 currently. So you must make sure that you download it, keep that copy, and you must study the APA, because everything in the world of academic needs to be referenced. If you don't do that, then you fall into plagiarism. So in conclusion, all I can say that you guys, you must read, and read. It's very important. You have got a module which is specifically assigned for your research module, for your research methodology topic. So kindly grab that copy and read it. And also, if you go in the library, make sure that you really ask your librarian to help you get some good literature. But also in terms of issues like referencing, collecting information from the internet, I will encourage you to use your librarian. My contact details are available in all your tutorials. Kindly contact me at any time if ever you need clarity. Thank you very much for your time, and all the best in your studies.